Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're going to take a look at the best teams for the Holiday Cup. The Holiday Cup is going to be back in Pokemon GO like every single time towards the Christmas period. And today we're going to take a look at the Great League version of this. Why do I say so? Because we have next week the Ultra League version, as far as I know, for this cup available. And so today, Great League. Hopefully you enjoy the videos. Of course, I know top team videos are always kind of the most watched ones of my channel. So yeah, feel free to leave a like, would appreciate it. Subscribe if you haven't already. You know the drill. Let's move on to team number 1. And here's one thing that I kind of want to say as well. Here are some example teams. There are a lot of Pokemon that could also still work out for a lot of the different cores. What you're going to have here in the Holiday Cup is you have a lot of very good normal type Pokemon that all kind of do the same. We have Dunsparce, we have the Lickilicky, we have the Double, we have the Ferret. They're all very, very good save-ups, especially in this current meta, but they all have like those little tweaks that kind of makes them a bit unique, but they all kind of do the same. They're normal type Pokemon, they're very good as a save-up. And so here we're going to have a team that has Lickilicky. You can run any of the ones that, for example, are set there. And then for the Pokemon in the back, we're going to have here Litleo, which is more the funny one, and then Auroras, which is more the safer one. And for Auroras again, there are plenty of different kind of ice-type Pokemon that you can use. And that's something that is going to be important throughout the kind of video as well, because I only give you 1 or 2 examples, but there are a ton of Pokemon that do basically the exact same in the current cup. This is usually not the case, but in this cup, it is. And so here we're going to have the Auroras. You can go for the Titan, Celio, the Walrein. The most like Lady is also still available. There's so many ice-type Pokemon that are very, very strong. Yeah, it's going to be a good team. You have the lead that's going to be able to beat something like the Doublade, which you're going to need. You have a Save-Up here and Lickilicky that can bait them out and has still a Shadow Punch. And it's just a very good safe play. Like, there's nothing really that is going to be threatening. The worst Pokemon here is actually more Peko to deal with, because your lead is going to do resisted damage and gets one-shot, and your Save-Up is going to, yeah, it's neutral, and the Pokemon in the back is neutral. There's actually no real hard answer to the team. There's no real hard answer. Auroras is still easily to deal with as well. If you feel like Auroras is a big problem, use the Double as Save-Up, for example, and you kind of clear that weakness. And so, yeah, this is kind of how this kind of works. If you, for example, also then feel again you need more fighting type coverage, go for the Titan in the back. You see what I mean with that. And that's kind of long explanation for the first team, because it's important for the rest of the teams as well. For example, here again, there are a ton of Ice-type Pokemon you can run with Stunfisk and the Corviknight as a Save-Up. Stunfisk is a very nice bulky Pokemon that doesn't really have a big weakness here. The biggest weakness of the team is going to be Walrein or the Celio, where you're going to have, again, if you feel like you're a bit too weak to Ice-type Pokemon, go to the Titan in the back, and you fix that issue. It's quite simple. It's honestly quite simple. This meta is quite combined and compact in a certain kind of... You have those clusters of Pokemon that do the same kind of like similar things. They only kind of like small differences. They are all kind of connected with each other, and they can all kind of exchange with each other. And this is going to be the case here again. It could be any kind of those Ice-type Pokemon in the back. Corviknight and the Stunfisk itself, though, are more unique than the other ones. For example, the Ice-types, you have a lot of different versions. Stunfisk, Corviknight, there are only those 2 Pokemon. Also, what is important though, for Corviknight, you want to have Iron Head, which is going to be better against those Ice-type Pokemon and one-shot something in Auroras, which could be kind of cool for you. There's also different kind of Pokemon that also got a different moveset for this current meta there, which you're going to talk a little bit about later now. It's not going to be one of those. We're going to have a more Peko, standard moveset. We have the Doublade, standard moveset. We have the Slash, standard moveset. So, you have a team here that is triple weak to ground. This is, of course, an issue. There are some ground types available, but they're super, super rare. Which you see here as well already on the graphics, because what you see here, there is one ground-type Pokemon that apparently even loses against, especially the Slash, but also the Doublade, which is the Diggersby here. They have Piloswine as well, I guess. But a lot of them are currently weak to the secondary, like the coverage moves of Doublade and Slash, which kind of allows you to still then do quite well with them. And so, yeah, it's going to be a solid team here if you don't encounter ground-type. I don't think the ground-types are that common when you have so many Ice-types available, though. So that could be an interesting team to run. Team number 4, again, is the same play. It's kind of more of a reverse version of the first team. We're going to have here the Spiritomb and the Sableye in the back, which I think is a cool backline. Spiritomb here is to bait out, for example, those normal type Pokemon. I like actually Alone 9 hits a lot in the lead here as well, which is going to be able to be good against Pokemon like the Ferret, for example, that is going to be quite common in this meta. But still, even the Aura is going to be fine here. And generally speaking, apparently the weakest, the worst Pokemon here is the Alone 9 Tails itself. And so this team basically has next to no real answer. Still, I could see that Normal type Pokemon could be a little bit more tricky, but your Say-Up is kind of neutral, your Lead is neutral, so it doesn't really matter too much. Next up, we're going to have Doublade in a different role. Doublade is a lead, Doublade in order to kind of align yourself. And then you have Stunfisk and the Morpeko in the back. Both of them benefit of Doublade's ability to resist the flying type damage, which you don't really do with the backline there. The backline is going to be good against flying type Pokemon, which is going to be cool here as well. Yeah, generally, Doublade Morpeko is a very good core, which you saw already previously. They kind of cover each other's weaknesses nearly perfectly, and that's going to be a ground type Pokemon, which again, for this case, is going to be a bit more tricky. But if you want to be a bit better against ground type Pokemon, you can run something like a Furret here. You can run something like, I don't know, like some kind of other flying type or whatever in the back in order to deal with them. But generally speaking, yeah, Furret would give you the coverage. You can go for Lickilicky as well, or even for Doublade. Doublade is going to give you fighting type coverage against most of those ground type Pokemon that are weak to fighting, like the Diggersby as well as the Pythoswine. So there are a lot of kind of things to play around here. And again, I kind of put them all always onto the screen, but there are those type Pokemon basically that all kind of be exchanged for each other. And a lot of normal types are just very, very good in this meta. Alright. Next one, this is going to be more of a toxic team. We have the Annihilape, the Furret, and the Wigglytuff. All the Diggersby in the back. Annihilape is going to be a very good Pokemon in this meta, I think. But the only thing that's a bit more of an issue for this Pokemon is going to be those Ghost or the Dark-type Pokemon. And this is where we have Wigglytuff in the back, which are going to be like the best counters here for those types. And this makes also this team again a very, very solid. The worst Pokemon to counter for this team itself is Wigglytuff, which is on the team as well. So you know that you have one neutral matchup. Furret is still okay HG against Wigglytuff as well. It's not a bad matchup at all. And if Furret goes up against the Wigglytuff and that gets some damage in, Annihilape can even farm it down. So like it's not a bad matchup at all. But yeah, this team generally speaking is very, very good, I think. Alright, a little bit more of a fun team here. We're going to have the Magnezone, which is something that people don't really expect. We're going to have the Sableye, and we're going to have the Ludicolo. Ludicolo is going to be actually quite solid in this meta, just has to be a bit aware of those Dark-type Pokemon, which you can try to bait out here as well with a Sableye. Magnezone itself just has a lot of nuke potential in this meta. There are not a lot of ground types available, they're very strong, and this kind of makes Magnezone a bit stronger, and so I think it's going to be a cool team here. You can also use a Ranguru instead of the Sableye if you want to, and just generally speaking is a very good and solid team. The worst matchup here, by far, is Morpeko again. Morpeko looks like a very good breaker for this meta. I do think that Morpeko is going to be most likely one of the first videos I'm going to have towards new meta. As we're going to take a look here now at Furret, Morpeko as well as Skeledirge as a team. There's going to be an interesting team here. There's going to be here, yeah, generally speaking, a very solid, strong team. Morpeko is going to be a Say-Stop, baiting out certain types. Furret is going to have even the Brick Break as a charge move, which is going to be buffed this season and apparently recommended because it's going to be better against the other normal type Pokemon, which are quite common, which we talked about already, as well as good against Auroras or like the Lapras. So yeah, I do think that actually Furret with Brick Break makes a lot of sense in this meta. So this is going to be an interesting Pokemon again to showcase because I think it's kind of unique and what it can do, but I think it's a very good Pokemon to run. Alright, another Pokemon that I kind of want to focus on some more interesting Pokemon that you maybe wouldn't really see anywhere else in this video. Another Pokemon that I found quite interesting is Raikou. Raikou has access to Thunder Shock, Wild Charge, as well as the Aura Sphere, and Wild Charge Aura Sphere looks like a very good coverage combination in this current meta, hitting Pokemon like the normal types super effective damage with the Aura Sphere, as well as you're going to be able to hit those water type Pokemon for super effective, or the flying type Pokemon as well, like the Corviknight we're going to have here, the Lapras we're going to have here, the Walrein we're going to have here. You basically hit everything for super effective in this meta, which makes a Raikou one of the most interesting Pokemon here for this one. And Lanturn in the back, just going to give you a bit more of a, yeah, it gives you an electric type that's not weak to ground directly, but also an electric type that still is going to be able to just have some more fast move pressure as well with the Water Gun. And Water Gun is kind of needed here. You don't want to Spark at all. Water Gun is just a very good move there itself. And you don't have to be really worrying about those other water type Pokemon, because most of them are Water and Ice, which Annihilape can deal with, and then also Raikou can deal with. And Lanturn is going to be a closer for this one, which I think is a very good closer for the current meta. And into the final team, we're going to have a team around the Shadow Golduck. Because again, we kind of analyze that there are a lot of teams that are kind of weak to ground, but also a lot of teams just don't really want to run ground. And here we're going to have a team with Wigglytuff, the Morpeko Say-Stop, and the Golduck in the back. I do think it's a bit safer to go for the Diggersby Say-Stop, but Morpeko kind of does similar things. basically here what we have is a team that doesn't have really a weakness. And Golok in the back is going to be kind of nice because I do expect Morpeko being one of the most common Pokemon to run. And it's also actually very good against a lot of the normal type Pokemon that is not like Ferret, because against Dunsparce you're going to be able to knock them out with a Dynamic Punch. Against even something like the other Pokemon, like most of the other Pokemon to be fair, you're kind of good with this one. So yeah, I do think that the Golok has a lot of play in this meta, and that's going to be it for this video, for the top teams for the current upcoming meta basically here for the Holiday Cup. And again, next week we're going to have the Holiday Cup in the Ultra League edition. If you want to see some Master League teams, I made a video 2 weeks ago towards the top teams for the Master League, check that out, and I will see you then.